We have our first ever Pokemon Presents post-launch of the Switch 2 coming up on July 22nd, 2025. And joining me on this prediction discussion video, we have Daan, Colin, and Zach. Guys, how are we all feeling about this prediction or Presents coming up in a few days from now? Are we excited about it? Are we nervous? Like, what do we think's going on with this?
It's going to be interesting because it's in a very busy period already, and there are rumors also floating around about another direct at the end of this month. So this period is going to be incredibly busy. And then the first thing that was announced between all of it was a Pokemon Presents like 2 months beforehand when they announced the release date of Legends today.
Zach, what are you thinking?
This is definitely going to be interesting. I think the most interesting thing about it is not it itself, but the anniversary that we have coming up after. Makes you wonder what's going to be at this direct. Are we only going to focus on ZA? Are we only going to focus on champions? What are we going to get in the mobile game department? So that's the thing I think is the most interesting, is how much do they show here and how much are they saving for next year?
Yeah, it almost feels like we're kind of like in a lull period, right? Like the Switch 2 just came out. There's not a whole lot of, I guess, Pokemon information that they want to like divulge on us yet before the anniversary next year. So it's like, it is just a weird thing. It feels like they kind of just have to do this Presents because they typically do 2 a year, right? The one on the anniversary of the Pokemon Day, and then the one during the summer or later in the year. Colin, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking there's gonna be at least I feel that there's gonna be a lot of different things that they're gonna announce, possibly, because as mentioned, anniversary coming up, it's kind of be like, hey, let's start addressing, or at the very least talk about some big projects that are coming up in the future, especially with in my feeling, they're gonna probably announce the next generation of Pokemon, because it has been 3 years since Scarlet and Violet released, so I would not be surprised if we got some sort of Gen 10 announcement of some kind.
So you think we're starting off the gate like Gen 10, like even before like the launch of ZA, because ZA doesn't come out until October? Like, you think they'll be talking about that now before the release of the next game?
I definitely think so, because if you think back to when Legends Arceus was releasing and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was releasing, 2 Pokemon games pretty much released back to back. And released in a intermittent period between, Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. That was I was doing the math today that the time gap between games is relatively between 2 to 3 years. So I'm thinking we're going to get some sort of announcement for the game, like saying, hey, Gen 10's in the works, but we probably won't know what the legendaries are going to look like, what the starters are going to look like. But there's just a lot of different rumors, I think, on the rumor mill that Gen 10's going to be set in Greece, which I think is very interesting. It's going to be like Wind and Sea or something like that, Pokemon Wind and Sea. It's going to be like Zeus and a Poseidon-like Pokemon that are going to be put center stage as the legendaries. So I'm super excited, because as a big Greek mythology buff myself, having a generation set in Greece with Pokemon inspired by Greek mythological creatures, which there are a plethora of, is something I look forward to.
Don and Zach, do you think Gen 10 anything? Are we going to see this on the Presents Day? Is it too early? Are we even going to see like a tease of like the starters or something? Or again, are they just going to focus on ZA?
So once again, Presents is like a more general view of what's coming for Pokemon. I think a Gen 10 announcement is imminent, but I don't think it's this year. I think it's somewhere at the start of next year. Like, if you look at Pokemon Day next year, I think that is more of a lock, because then you are literally anniversary year and you have a lead up time. I think, though, moving on from that a little bit, I think there's a huge chance we'll see Pokemon Champions.
Ooh.
Because here's my gut feeling on it. The company who's making it, Pokemon Works, they have both done that and taken over development of Pokemon Sleep. Pokemon Sleep has been very low on updates. Like, the anniversary update started this week, which adds the Gen 3 starters, but there's no new area, and there hasn't been for quite some time. They've been really quiet on that front, and my feeling on that is that they have moved resources more towards Pokemon Champions to give that more love. I think there's honestly a very good shot we'll actually get a blowout of Pokemon Champions in this present.
So before we go into like Pokemon Champions, Zach, like what do you think we're gonna see, like I guess on the mobile front, right? Because like obviously Pokemon Champions is coming to mobile and Switch. Like what are the other mobile games that we're gonna be seeing here besides I guess Champions?
So yeah, I was gonna play off of that, Don. I think Champions is definitely gonna be here in some form. I don't know if it's gonna be the full blowout of Champions, but I definitely think we're going to get an explanation of how it works, both from a price standpoint, from a connection standpoint to Pokemon Home, and everything else that goes into Champions. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know the online game Pokemon Showdown. There's a kind of like online battler that does a lot of what I think Champions is going to do, and it'll be interesting to see just how much they play into that kind of aspect of the battles, especially because VGC is still really big for Pokemon. They really, at the World Championships, they really promote it and they really take it seriously. So you have to believe the Champions will probably be their go-to battling app from here on out for the World Championships. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how they put that in, but also from a mobile standpoint, will we get a new mobile game? Maybe the team that was working on Pokemon Sleep and all those might be working on something else. I know they are still keeping Masters going strong. I definitely expect to see something new from Masters, something new probably from Pokemon Cafe too. But I would love to see them take on a new mobile game. There's been a lot of interesting gacha games, not that I'm necessarily advocating for more gachas in the world, but I would love to see them mix up the formula. I think the mobile game market is where they can kind of get cute with their gameplay experiences, and might be able to provide something new.
I'll be honest with you, I don't see new mobile game, because the reason why is because Pocket is still going way too strong. And obviously, another thing we'll see in the Presents is the next Pocket set, because usually they have a 1 month cycle. This current season ends in the last week of July, so I think with a week to go before that, I think it's a perfect time to showcase what the next set is going to be like, which is likely going to be a slightly bigger set than this current one, because the last one was more of an extra set, smaller set with EV cards. So the next one is also going to be quite big.
And the thing is,
I think
with
the next
mobile
one.
Games, go ahead, Colin.
I was going to say, I think you're right that the next set could be announced, and I think potentially with the release of this black and white set that just released, with the actual like physical card game, with it releasing, I think it might coincide. I think with it releasing, they're then going to make a black and white release for the card game, because we haven't gotten black and white. We've gotten Gen 4 releases, we've got Gen 2, we haven't gotten Gen 3, so it could be Gen 3 possibly, because we haven't gotten like any Groudon, Kyogre, or Rayquaza cards, except for that one EX card.
Yeah, they recently focused a lot on Alola. Last 2-ish sets were Alola themed. I think black and white might be a bit too early, considering they just did it, and same company that actually makes like the designs of the physical cards also make designs for this. I honestly see Gen 3 a good chance. 4 has also been already represented really well. It's either Gen 3 or it feels wrong to say, but Sword and Shield.
Colin, you're shaking your head. You're like, you don't want more Sword and Shield. Don, you say Gen 3, and I'm like, I'll take Gen 3 any day on anything.
Yeah. But yeah, it's likely going to be the next phase, because I feel like they're going through, not just through regions that are popular. I think Gen 4, forget the number of the Alola one. Gen 4, Alola.
Gen 7, I believe it is.
Gen 7.
Yeah, those two are, in people's minds, like the most popular ones when it comes to Pokemon designs. And then also you have the more general ones with Gen 1 and Gen 2. I think a focus on more Gen 2 or 3 makes sense for the nearby future, because I don't see anywhere else for them to immediately go outside of Gen 5, which feels weird, considering at the time of the Presents coming and everything else in that area, Gen 5 cards just released in the physical GCG.
And does
that's
TCG
fair.
Pocket does it correlate anything with anything releasing? Like, does it try to connect to
No.
the actual physical games, or like the TCG card game, or what about like any of the regular games? Will there be anything from ZA connected to Pocket at all? Or at
Not
least I guess what is
really.
that, Gen 6?
Yeah, I think they're currently focusing with the ZA stuff on physical TCG. Because if people don't know about actual physical TCG, Black and White is actually the last Scarlet and Violet set. From August in Japan and September in the West, it's gonna move over to Mega Evolution, which is, that's an obvious dig towards Pokemon Legends Set
Yeah.
A. But the thing is, and this is very unusual, Mega Evolution is already back in the anime. The TCG is released in August and September, but the game is releasing in October. So they're flipping the entire script on this.
Jeez. All right, so like with the mobile games, like Zach, you said you could see another mobile game here again. Like last Pokemon Presents, I feel like they went over. It felt like almost like 10 different mobile games that they went through. It was like Cafe, it was EX or Legends, not Legends. What is it? Masters. It was Masters.
Masters EX.
Maybe they talked about Sleep. They did talk about Sleep because they had like Darkrai. There was Unite. Like there's so many mobile games that they talk about. What are the other odds and end things that you guys think we're gonna see here?
I think Pokemon Go is definitely going to be one of them. I think Pokemon Go is still going strong. I've been seeing in-person events around the city still of Pokemon Go things for certain venues. So that definitely tells me that there'll be some kind of... I'm not sure if they're all caught up on the generations yet in Pokemon Go. I haven't
think they
touched
are.
it in a while.
I think they are.
Yeah.
They could be doing something to maybe promote like new forms or something like that. Who knows? I think Megas have also been in Go for a bit now. Haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they could do something to maybe promote Mega Evolution or something like that. But it just seems like too big a game. But if it's winding down, and same with Masters, I think that's where you have that perfect opportunity for a new game to kind of fit into that slot of what people are looking for in the mobile game market. But I think it all depends on their resources internally and whether they want to step on toes.
I think the game for them is Champions. I think that's the obvious answer to that. It's like their next mobile game is Champions.
So yeah, let's dive a little bit more into Champions. Like, we don't know the pricing for this. We haven't even seen gameplay for this. Like, for all we know, this could be like another card game. Like, seriously, like we know it's going to be a battling system, right?
Yeah,
but like realistically, we haven't seen any gameplay or anything. So like, I want to talk about like pricing first because this is coming to mobile. Like, this is probably going to be a free-to-play game, right? Like, there's not going to be a price tag on this because they're going to have to fill this in with microtransactions to kind of get you in, right? Like, what do you guys think the pricing is going to look like for this? Colin, do you have any ideas?
I mean, it's all depending on how many microtransactions they have at launch because, like this is definitely different in terms of the standard operating procedure of a Pokemon game because it's not like we haven't seen a game like this. It's kind of different in it's like its own thing. So it's honestly, I would think microtransactions would kind of take up the bulk of it, but maybe they'll make it $5 on like the App Store, maybe. Because I know like different apps, that you would think would be free, but then they actually do cost money. So they might do that plus microtransactions. There might be some sort of transfer system. I don't know. Like it's different.
Wait, has there been any pricing for any of the Pokemon games on mobile? Like, have you had to pay for anything? The ones I played, I played Unite on Switch and mobile, and there was no price connected to that.
What I want to say really is that there's already a price baked in. It's basically you interacting with the rest of their Pokemon universe. Like,
I was gonna say, I think this is a perfect example to get people to get Pokemon Home. Because if you can connect Pokemon Home.
It's not only Pokemon Home, but it's also you already play the mainline games. You also already play Pokemon Go because everything interacts with Pokemon Home. Like, obviously they could like force you to buy stuff, but the fact is that they're directly linking the battle simulator to everything you do in Pokemon Home and other games. Like, there will obviously be rental teams. I'm not going to assume that they're not going to be there.
That's what I'm
but
expecting. I think it'll be
Yeah.
like Stadium, where they have set rental teams, but everyone, if you
Yeah.
wanted to win, you would bring in your own Pokemon from the actual games, and so I think that's where they get you.
But Zach, you brought
Yeah.
this up to me before. Like, you think that, like, because with Pokemon Home, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like, you can't transfer like items between Pokemon, right? So, like, with
You
ZA
can't.
coming out and Mega Evolutions being a big thing tied to like specific Pokemon, how do you guys think they're going to handle items in Champions?
hard
I
to
think
say.
this is. Oh, go ahead, Dom.
I think it's honestly hard to say. To me, it's like you just send the Pokemon in from home. If you don't want to do rental team, once again, I think there's a good rental team system in there because it's a battler. They kind of have to. But if you bring in Pokemon from home, I think you're just gonna assign items from their menus. It would be weird otherwise, because how would you do that in any other way?
My greatest fear is that they make this you're going to earn whatever the in-game currency is, and you're going to be able to buy the items from the store, but you could fast track it by paying real money to get whatever item. So if you want to buy the leftovers you need, or the assault vest or life orb or whatever battle item you need, you could fast track and buy it, or, you could earn it with the in-game currency by getting your battles in.
I think they're holding off on that a little bit because, like, once again, like in other factors with, say, Pokemon Go or the TCG, like the cost of getting involved with actual tournaments is like it's really clear to see what you need. With VGC long term, it's sort of more difficult because once you buy the game and have the console, what else is there really to upfront and pay for? I think they would be in a really slippery slope if they would go that path.
Oh yeah, that's my greatest fear. I don't necessarily think that's exactly the route they're going to go. My hope is that they have sets of items. They kind of just have a drop-down list that you can select to equip to your Pokemon. But there's definitely going to have to be some kind of item involvement with the Mega Stones, because we're going to probably get a whole bunch of new Mega Evolutions with ZA. You have to imagine that if you want to use those Pokemon within Champions, you're going to have a Mega Stone with them, and that's going to have to be provided within game.
So yeah, and we're talking about battles for this. Like, we haven't seen any gameplay for this. Are we just assuming that it's just going to play like a typical battling system from the general Pokemon games or the mainline games?
Yes and no. You can mix different, what I would call battle gimmicks together, which is very unusual for an official Pokemon product. Well, you can kind of do it in Go, but it's sort of halfway there. Now they're going all the way in, which makes me wonder, hey, are they bringing back Z moves?
Oh no. Colin, you're just like...
I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Sun and Moon at all. I think, in my opinion, I did not like Gen 7. I think Z moves were just... The fact that you can only get one turn out of the move, and then that's it. Like, I've gone on to say, like, Z moves are my least favorite battle mechanic that they've introduced, with Megas obviously being my favorite, because it was, in my opinion, the best battle mechanic. Every time I just think of Z moves, I'm like, that's wonderful.
It makes me think of their bringing back every stupid battle gimmick they've ever had. Remember trios battles?
Oh my god!
Oh, yeah.
From Black and White,
Rotation
right?
battles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh!
Those were kind of fun in theory, but it just falls apart when you.
Why
really
not get? Let's get
into
Sky
it.
Battles. Let's get Sky Battles back from Gen 6.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, yeah. Let's do everything. Why not?
Oh my gosh!
So I'm also thinking in that way, like mixing that stuff together in a way that feels like they really haven't done that in a while. They haven't made up a battle simulator in such a long time. Like, if you can mix that stuff together, great, do it. Why not? But I'm not sure if they are willing to go that far.
So, do you guys think they'll be talking about Pokemon Championships or Pokemon Champions like a majority in this Presents? Or do you guys think, do we even think it's coming out this year?
I think it's going to be that and ZA. I'm not sure if it's coming out this year, but it would be weird if you don't put significant time behind that thing. Because you announced it earlier this year, it's clearly been in development for a while, and with like Worlds and other events coming up just before the start of the next competitive season, you'll be crazy not to do something with this. Like, now it's pretty perfect time. You're not going to drop this in the middle of a competitive season somewhere February next year. That's... People will not keep focusing on that for a while. You need to hold their attention. And with ZA technically not being... Well, it is quote-unquote a mainline game, but also not being a mainline game in the sense of being competitively viable. You sort of need to shift that focus a little bit and show them, hey, there's something else you can try.
So what do you think the release date for this is? Zach, do you have any idea? Like, ZA we know is coming out in October. Like, do we see this coming out in the next, like, month or two? Do we see this coming after ZA within this year?
I think it could come out after ZA. I think the really interesting thing about it is that if ZA really focuses on megas, I would presume we will see more about which Pokemon will be added to ZA. But if it's only megas that are the new Pokemon added to ZA, in theory, they could have the new forms of megas added to champions before any kind of home update is needed, because, or at least home update to bring Pokemon from ZA to home. Because they normally do those home updates about 3 or 4 months after the whichever game came out. I know, like, they like the November time slot for the game to come out, and then in like February or January they do the home update. So I could see them doing the home update maybe December or January, and possibly that December time frame could be when champions could come out, maybe even January. But I think they could definitely get it started before even ZA hits its stride, because they have those Mega Evolutions. All you would need is just the item in game.
Colin, what do you think?
I mean, it is a mobile game. Like, in all intents and purposes, it's a mobile game, and they're not, in my opinion, they don't seem to require as much investment in trying to get out as opposed to the mainline games. So I would say, kind of what Zach was saying, maybe afterwards, after the ZA releases. I think that way that, the whole Mega Evolution thing, they don't have to release an additional patch for the Champions. It could just be like rolled right into it without needing an additional update or patch at the beginning of its release, which, in my opinion, that makes sense not to have an additional patch, because then it's like people are like, why didn't you just think of this ahead? That to me at least makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, that covers it really for like champions, and I guess the other big thing that we're definitely going to see here is going to be Pokemon ZA. So like, what else do you think they're going to have to show us here to kind of, I guess, get us excited for the game, because it comes out in a few months?
Well, I personally ask you, Nick. Oh, go ahead. If you want to go, Colin.
I was just going to say, I personally think that we're going to see the evolutions or mega evolutions of the starters. They have purposefully not been showing, because just like the Legends Arceus, they didn't show the evolutions until pretty much the game's release, and that was something that they intentionally did. Like, they never showed us, they only showed us the starters at their beginning evolutions. That's an intentional thing that I believe they've been doing. So I think we're going to be seeing possibly Mega Evolution of the starters or their new evolutions, because that just makes sense to me. And then possibly more of the newer Mega Evolutions. I think we're going to see maybe 1 or 2 to keep getting people hyped, maybe even a few more, because they did that in the past with X and Y. They had a bunch, they showed off a little bit of like Mega Evolutions, and then they kept going and showing off a little bit more. So they could do a lot. I think they could. They'll probably like reveal more of the story. Maybe they'll have like some sort of description of what's going to be happening in the game, story wise. Which is something that they showed off again for Legends ZA. They showed off an aspect of the story like, hey, the space-time rifts are causing an issue and such like that. So in this case, maybe something with Yveltal or with Xerneas or Zygarde could be going wrong. Maybe the ultimate weapon is going to be used again in some way or another. Because we have Z, he's in the game. What is his purpose? What is he gonna do? What could happen with the character?
Daan?
I mean, yeah. I honestly feel like it's really hard to say what they're really going to talk about outside of Megas. Like, to me, it's sort of clear how the game progression works in the grand scheme of things. Not to say that I have some reservations about it, and maybe they can like elevate those a little bit. But ultimately, like, I sort of feel after the Direct in March, where they had a good big presence, as well as the Pokemon Presents that preceded it, I don't think necessarily feel I need a lot of information on ZA. Like, a good trailer would be nice, a few more details would be nice, but I don't think I want to know everything before I go into a game like that.
Yeah, like you said, the last trailer that we got, they did show us a bulk of what we didn't know about the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the nice things that they showed off like that kind of like battle royale mode-esque, right? Like
Yes.
you're going down fighting each trainer. Don't you start at like, what is the number you start at? Like 100 or something?
No,
Or-
you start at Z.
That's what you start at Z, and then you have to work your way all the way down.
Yeah.
Zach, what are you thinking?
I mean, personally, I'm excited for the lore stuff. I know Colin briefly brought it up. We never got a Pokemon Z. We jumped straight from X and Y right to Sun and Moon. So we never really got to know more about Zygarde. And there are little bits and pieces in the other games talking about how powerful Zygarde actually is and how important Zygarde is to the overall ecosystem of Pokemon. So I'm super interested to see what they're going to do with that. Also, everything with the Mega Evolution and the Mega Energy or Infinity Energy, how Mega Evolution works. We never got any kind of explanation on that. So I'm a huge lore nerd. I'm super excited to see how that plays in.
I do want to mention, because you said went straight to Sun and Moon. That is not true. We went to Alpha Ruby and Omega Ruby and Alpha
Yeah.
Sapphire. And which had lore for Mega Evolutions.
I was gonna say that had more lore than X and
X
Y
and Y.
actually.
Yeah, the Delta episode was actually like a really good piece of writing, which they have not repeated since. Like, I really like the writing in Scarlet and Violet, but between that gap, I didn't necessarily care for some of the characters. But like the
definitely.
Delta episode was honestly like a really good piece of writing on their part.
Yeah, Zinnia is such a cool character, and just the whole concept. The idea of a link cable being part of canon to create multiverses is just such a crazy idea, and I love it so much. It's a combination of nostalgia and just wackiness that I would love to see more things like this.
Like if they repeat sort of the writing they did with the last two games, so with Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet, I think were in pretty good hands. But yeah, there needs to be more lore overall in general about that world, because it felt like extremely light in X and Y.
Oh, definitely. So, Nick, I want to flip something back on you. You
Go
and I
for
have
it.
talked about ZA a little bit. I want to flip your original question of what can they do to get you more excited back on you. You have told me with the Pokemon series in general, not just ZA, you've been waiting for them to mix up the formula. You've been a little
lose them.
tired of the turn-based battles.
You lost the audio cut out a little bit. Yeah, I might have to repeat that question to him.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying previously you have mentioned that you want them to mix up the formula with Pokemon. You're a little bit tired of the traditional turn-based battles. You'd like to see something more actiony. That's what we're getting in ZA. And you've told me that you're not super excited with what you've seen of ZA so far. So it looks like they're giving you what you want. What more are you asking for in this Presents?
Okay, no. So this Switch generation, I've mostly been playing, I guess I want to say side games for Pokemon, right? Like Pokemon Unite, I played for like maybe like 2 or 3 years. I got to Masters. I absolutely love that gameplay style because it was something different. Same thing with Pokken Tournament DX. I got it when it first came out on the Switch. I was like, oh, I'm a big fighting game fan. I wanted to get into it with this. But like, I love Kalos region. I love X and Y. I love the starters. I love everything with X and Y. So my biggest concern with ZA is that you're just stuck in the city. Like, I wish it was a little bit more than that, because what it feels like to me is like you're going to each of these, I guess, like regions that are built in the city, and they almost feel like zoos. Like I wish there was more. Like, Colin, you're laughing, but it's kind of true, right? Like there's just
No, you're not wrong.
You walk in, and it's like oh, here's like what I picture is like I'm thinking of like the Madagascar penguins. Like there's just like an ice area, right? And then they're just hanging on that, and then you see giant like skyscrapers behind them, and it's like, well, I wish there was a little bit more than that. I wish I can go explore outside the city, especially coming out of Pokemon Legends, right? Where what region was Legends again? Because I didn't play Legends,
Sinnoh.
but like when I watched Natalie played it, what was it? It was Hoenn?
It was
Sinnoh.
Sinnoh.
Or
Yeah,
Hisui, I guess.
Hisui, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So like
Hisui,
when I was
yeah,
watching
but it was,
Natalie
like,
play this,
Sinnoh.
I was like, oh my god, like this region is amazing. So like I wish we got to go outside the city or the region of Kalos to explore it a little bit more. But the gameplay, like that's what I was excited about with ZA, right? Because like Zach, you and I have both been on like a Xenoblade kick recently, and I love the combat in Xenoblade, how it's just constantly action and you're just clicking on a bunch of different commands. So like when I saw that for Pokemon ZA, I was like, oh, it's not the traditional turn-based anymore. It is and it isn't at the same time. So I was like, oh, I'm excited for that. But again, like I just wish that there was a little bit more to this game outside of the city. I know I keep saying that, but the city is just really holding me back.
Nick, I'm gonna say something that's gonna make people think, oh, you feel like that.
What?
If you go outside of the city, you would actually have to explore Kalos.
People don't like that, right? So, I mean, again, maybe this is like nostalgia speaking. Like, I had such a fun time playing X and Y with all my friends. So, like, I enjoyed the region out there. But again, like, I don't want to be locked into a city, right? Like, does it sound crazy for me to say that when I'm playing a Pokemon game?
Yes and no. But I will also make the argument that I sort of made jokingly just now. Is like, yeah, but also I don't think Kalos is that interesting as a region. Like a bigger Lumio city that you can actually explore sounds more enticing to me than whatever the rest of Kalos can offer. And there are some nice looking areas in Kalos. But if you ask me, the first memory that comes to mind when going back and talking about X and Y is the gap between the first two gyms.
I'm trying to think of it.
Oh, yeah.
How bad was
Yeah,
it? I can't remember that
you
right
do
now.
the first gym, then there's a gigantic gap where you first go to Luminous City and then go up again. It's like, yeah.
And every road is closed for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, the power's out. Which
Wasn't
for
there a
some reason
gap
closed
between
the
Gen?
road.
Wasn't there a gap between the third gym too? Like I feel like there was a lot of exposition between the second and then the third gym. Had a lot of exposition too, at least in my opinion. Because I remember you had to.
Yeah, for sure. There was a weird inconsistency with how the map was designed when it comes to like the length between gyms. Yeah, I think the Luminous was always the more interesting part between that very long road. So I don't really mind the focus on Luminous City if I'm being completely honest. It makes, at least like to me, it makes me interested in what I could do with that city as a whole.
But like, am I crazy to think, like I say, the Madagascar thing with the penguins in the ice area? Like, are we just going to see like a random volcano in the center of the city for like a fire area? Right? Like, it sounds it's laughable, right? We're going to see something like that, right? There has to be like a jungle area or like an ice region or like a water area, right? It's just going to be plumped into the city.
So it's gonna be kind of like thought process of the oh my gosh, Indigo Disc, like how each
biomes.
area,
Yeah.
the biomes.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like what you're thinking of? And I do agree with like Nick in the sense of like, how are they gonna make this cityscape work with these like different little wild area patches with the Pokemon being in those wild area patches? I do agree with Nick on like his concern for that, because when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I'm with Nick on this. I have fond, lovable memories of playing X and Y. It's one of my favorite generations. It's up there on my list. I think Gen 4 is my favorite, followed by 6 and then probably 2 is my third favorite. But I do agree that like, what could they do? How is this going to work? Because we did see how it was going to work, but like in the grand scale, like you can ask again, like really, how is this going to work? What is going to change that you can see different Pokemon other than the day and night cycle? How is this going to affect what Pokemon appear, when they appear? Like what is going to happen to get some more Pokemon diversity in those areas, other than just traveling to the opposite side of Lumio City?
Will all those rivals from X and Y be back?
There has been a big thing. One of the characters from X and Y is on the box art. I forget exactly her name. But to see her come back, which is interesting because I think she has a different Pokemon in ZA than she does in her original game. I think she had like an Esper or something in the original game, and now she has a Lucario.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Oh my gosh, what is her name? It was the Looker mission.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
wearing Looker's coat, actually, I think, in the...
She's wearing part of
ZA
the armor.
Mhm.
She's wearing the part of the armor.
Yes,
in the
that's right.
ZA
She
arc.
had the suit and everything. That was such a cool and weird element. XY had so many cool and weird moments. And that's why it's a shame that we're staying in Lumios. I mean, we're not going to find out about the sundial in that one city in Anastar. We're not going to find out about the power plant, which that felt like the most obvious thing in the world, that we'd be able to go to that power plant in the distance.
I mean, we'll never find out ever about South Kalos.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest shame, is that, geographically, if we're going Spain, France, it seemed like it was all teed up for there to be a connection there, and we're not going to see anything of it. It looks like.
Yeah.
We could be wrong. They could be giving us a fake out, but I would doubt it.
Yeah.
So after discussing everything, what's everyone's excitement level at for this Presents? Are we high? Are we low? How are we feeling? Colin, what are you at? On a number scale, give me like 1 through 10 here.
I'll give you an 8.
Okay.
Because I want to see what's going to happen. Because honestly, maybe they could make an announcement for, like, I know it might not happen, but high hopes, optimism be the key word here. I would love to see a Gen 10 announcement of some sort. I don't need to see legendaries. I just want to know that it's in the works and that something's happening. Or I would love to see, and this is something I actually have talked to you about. I want to see maybe a game like how we had Mario 3D All-Stars. I would love to see a game, but it's for the first 3 generations of Pokemon, like how you can go back and play that, like how we did back on the 3DS days. Like we could literally buy blue, yellow, red, silver, and silver, gold, and crystal. Like I would love to see one where it's like Pokemon Collection or whatever, like the Pokemon Collection, or at the very least, put them on the Game Boy emulators that are already on the Switch. I have been waiting. They have the Pokemon trading card game on the emulators, for crying out loud. Yet we don't have any of the getting games. Like
We are getting Coliseum and XD though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and we have
That's
Stadium
true.
1 and 2. We have Stadium 1 and 2.
But
Don,
they
what are you
should-
at on a scale from 1 through 10? How are you feeling?
I mean, before we go on, they should probably add more NSO games to begin with. Neither of the Pokemon Pinball games are also
Yeah,
on
that's
NSO.
crazy. They're not there. I love Pokemon Pinball Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah, but like in general, I think they should release more, and maybe they will drop 1 or 2 during the Presents, because that would be completely logical and a fun thing to do, and completely mess up Nintendo's schedule. It would be the funniest thing in the universe. But outside of that, yeah, for me it's also an 8. Like I'm pretty interested in what they're showing. I'm not like, to me it's sort of the weird accents I'm interested in, because obviously I'm somebody who's really into Pocket, so I'm also sort of interested in where they're going from here, because the Lola stuff was really fun, but I'm sort of wondering where they're going next from this point onward. So we can also like correlate how they handled actual TCG in the game surrounding it. So for me that will be really interesting to see. I really hope they're doing something with Champions, because it feels about time. And like Pokemon Works has been really quiet. And like I said before, like there is a anniversary event right now for Sleep, and it's nice, but it also feels like I already been playing this game for over 600 days, and there's not much new significant content they've added for a while to that game. So I'm wondering, are those resources going to Champions? If so, well, let's show it to us.
Their next game is going to be Pokemon Awake. Just wakes you up. It's the opposite of sleep. But
Pokemon.
Zach, Pokemon, yeah, you got Munchlax as your sidekick, just eating the whole time.
Yeah.
Zach, what do you
For Pokemon
what are you
Awake,
feeling
they're
right
gonna do Explode.
I'm feeling about a 7 right now. Mainly, it all depends on how much Pokemon Champions we're going to see. For ZA, I'm excited about the new Megas. Obviously, I'm always excited to see new Pokemon, and Mega Evolutions is one of the best mechanics in my opinion. But the gameplay of ZA just hasn't grabbed me yet. I think if they show something new there, maybe that'll kind of turn the corner for me. But my excitement is all in Champions right now. I love the competitive Pokemon. I love building teams and getting into the nitty gritty of all the kind of meta games. So Champions is really where it's at for me, and depending on how much Champions they show, that's really going to be where my excitement comes from.
So then we're only going lower. We went with 8 from Colin, 8 with Daan, 7 from Zach. I'm going to give a 6 because, again, like with the whole discussion of ZA, like if we can see anything outside the city, which I highly doubt it, like that would get my excitement so much more for this game. And one thing I think we're going to see, which I'll be super excited about, is going to be the next season of Pokemon Concierge on Netflix, because they did tease that last time, and it's supposedly coming out this September. So I watched the first season. It's only like 4 episodes, I think. I watched it a handful of times. It's awesome, like stop motion. It's super quick and cute. I love it. If you guys haven't watched it yet, go check it out. Zach, I think we watched it together when it first came out or something.
It's a really quick watch.
Yeah, we watched it like an hour or two. It was super quick. But yeah, I'm excited to see Haru's journey continue, like as she works with the Pokemon. And I wish they make a game out of it. Like the art style is amazing. Like I'm picturing maybe like an Animal Crossing meets like Pokemon daycare or something where you're just taking care of these Pokemon. I don't know. I don't think they'll do this anytime soon because they have so many other games on their plate right now with Champions and ZA, and Gen 10 maybe being announced this year, if not next year. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for our predictions video, guys. So where can everyone find you guys at afterwards? Daan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, you can find me at Nintendo as NANTNDAA, YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky, whatever you want.
Colin, what about you?
You can probably find me on Instagram, artist Colin _ Hughes. But other than that, I really don't have any other platform.
Zach?
You can find me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Just Zach Volpicelli, ZachVolpicelli. Or you can find me at ZVolp on Instagram, whichever strikes your fancy.
Nice. And then I'm also Steftendo, as most people know. That's Steftendo as an STEFTNDO. I'm on my own channel over on YouTube and also here on GameXplain. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us now for this prediction video. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll probably catch you guys on the live stream coming up on this Tuesday for the Pokemon Presents. But until next time, see you everyone.